How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Golf on Tap. As always, I'm Jack Bushman, joined by Ross Baran, and we're happy to have Scratch Golf back on the show here today. If you don't already follow him on X or YouTube, make sure to go and check out the Scratch Golf Show for some awesome interviews with PGA Tour pros, caddies, and other folks in the golf content scene. And everyone who's tuning in with us right off the jump, make sure to go and follow Golf on Tap for free wherever you listen to your podcast. That way you can catch us whenever you're not able to join live. Scratch, excited to have you back on the show for the first time in a couple of months. I know you told us before recording he's got back from vacation, living it up. The Lions, of course, storming their way towards what you're hoping for is a second consecutive NFC title and maybe a better fate later on in the NFC postseason. Scratch, how you doing this afternoon, my friend? Thanks for the time.
Doing good. You guys hear me okay? All good?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Cool. Yeah, man, doing great. Obviously, like you mentioned, first off, thanks for having me. I know it feels like yesterday I was just on y'all's platform. Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here. It's been a crazy few months. Yeah, I've been traveling a little bit. Like you said, the main focus right now is obviously growing the Scratch Golf Show brand. So if you guys, like Jack mentioned, I do a lot of mainly interview style content right now, trying to get my foot in the ground in the YouTube space. My niche has kind of been caddies and kind of content creators in the YouTube space, working on some more pros. Got some cool stuff coming in January. So just follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram at the Scratch Golf Show, and then subscribe on YouTube. Got some cool stuff coming. But yeah, man, Lions are the main focus right now. Obviously, you can't golf here in Michigan. So, you know, we're just here rooting for the Lions on the way to the Super Bowl, which ironically enough, the Super Bowl is on like the day before my birthday. So hopefully the Lions give me a nice present the night before my 31st birthday of the first Super Bowl in team history. So, but yeah, things have been good, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course. Super excited to see what's going to go down in the NFC postseason this year. I'm sure the Lions are firmly going to have a say in the mix, and I know you're hoping it's going to be a good birthday for you, Scratch.
Hopefully.
But talking about go ahead, Ross. Sorry.
I would say it's not going to be a great birthday because your Lions are going to run into my Buffalo Bills.
Speaking of, I was going to ask you, man, we got head-to-head this week. We should lay, now that we're on camera, we should lay a little bit of coin on this matchup this Sunday. Although I will be honest, man, it is hard to win the NFL. The Lions have been playing good, but they've got a lot of injuries. But the one thing they have historically not done well against is a mobile QB. And I know this isn't a football pod. I don't want to get off too much off on a track here, off the tangent here this early on in the show. But and obviously Josh Allen played an MVP level. Bill's coming off a pretty big loss to the Rams, so they're going to be pissed. But yeah, should be a good game this weekend. Hopefully it's a shootout.
Don't worry. We'll make a little side bet.
For sure.
We'll throw it down for sure.
We'll talk about it after.
And I'm just the poor third-party spectator Bears fan here in this conversation. Last little thing I want to ask you guys about this matchup going on this weekend. Why do they have the Chiefs game and this game on at 3:15? I thought the scheduling this week. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I didn't.
Forget who exactly the Chiefs are playing, but there's another big game going down at 3:25. I can find it real quickly. I should have known this off the top of my head. It is excuse me, it's not the Chiefs game. It is the Steelers-Eagles game that's also on at 3:25. They have 5 games on at 3:25, and 2 of them are absolutely epic battles between the Lions and the Bills. in the Steelers and the Eagles, the Battle of Pennsylvania there on at 3:25. What are we doing, Roger?
That's weird. I feel like the Lions usually play at 1 on Sundays. They rarely get the late window, which is interesting. So that's cool. It's cool for they're in the more, I guess, primetime window. But it should be a good matchup.
I feel like that was a flex by the NFL at some point in the year to be like, this game is at noon, and I feel like under the radar once they started to go on this collision course, the NFL was casually like, let's bump it in the afternoon, and we'll just make that the one we put everywhere.
It feels, though, like two of those games at 3:25, it feels a very PGA Tour-esque move in terms of the coverage. Usually the NFL's got it dialed in, but it feels like they pulled a little bit of a PGA Tour type move this week. Anyways, fellas, getting back to the golf talk here on today's show. Scratch, what I did want to ask you, though, I know you just had Mason Nutt on the show. You've had Sean Walsh, a lot of cool people in different aspects in the YouTube golf scene. You mentioned you've had some caddies, Alex Goggard, I know you've had on, caddy for Eric Van Rooyen. Just talk to me about some of the cool conversations that you've had, or some of the ones that have maybe stood out to you the most, and some of the cool things you've learned on this process of interviewing all of these cool people.
Yeah, man, it's been a wild ride. I mean, I started doing the show, or kind of the channel brand. It's funny, I didn't even want to do a podcast or interview styles when I first started. It was going to be kind of just the part. Now it's kind of been my niche. It's the stuff I love doing the most. But yeah, man, I try to crank out one a week. I try to stack them, so I'll record like a bunch in a short time and then just crank them out for the month. It's been really cool. The few that we have dropping the rest of the year are pretty cool. So tomorrow I'm dropping an interview from a good member called Ashton DeBlasi. He's part of J&A Golf, which is here in Michigan. Been kind enough to get a little closer with those guys versus outside just, the YouTube space. They've been super cool and helped me out, and just on the back end on improving the quality so I can keep kind of chasing the dream of being, kind of a golf YouTube podcast or whatever the title is. But next week we have a really cool one. Me and my partner interviewed the Lab CEO. The Lab Putter CEO. So that was really cool. They just dropped a new putter from a design that they had been working on for multiple years with Adam Scott. And I'm really excited to kind of share a couple of those stories. They sent me and my partner a couple Lab custom putters. So I'm hopefully to see if I can get the putting fixed, and hopefully that can get me into like the +2, +3 range next year. Hopefully I found my secret weapon. But yeah, man, I'm excited to get my new putter. It's getting shipped out, I think, tomorrow, so I think I'll get in time for Christmas. It's right, like, yeah, on. It was so that was a really cool conversation. He's an interesting guy, and yeah, man, the caddies are awesome. I love doing those. They don't, from a YouTube perspective, they don't do great on the view wise, but the caddies are really cool. They're obviously great for the relationships. From my perspective, like I'm going to the Waste Management in February, so I've already talked to a few of them about either getting on-site interviews or like just chilling with the caddies, like or following them and trying to do stuff like that. So we're working on a couple bigger ones before the end of the year. I don't want to tease too much because these aren't like official, but we're working on Gino Benelli. Just got back to me last week and trying to get that done before the end of the year and record it out and post it in January. And then Mr. Greg Bodine, who I've exchanged a couple DMs with, hopefully get him on in January. So we've got one caddy, Andrew Novak's caddy, drop him before the end of the year. Andrew just finished second in Bermuda at Rafa Campos a couple of weeks ago. That was really cool, just conversations with Andrew, kind of walking through what the pressure's like for somebody who's never won in the PGA Tour on Sunday, playing for their first win. That should be a really cool one. But yeah, dude, I love doing the caddies. They're, like I said, if you can get the big ones like the Genos, the Gbos, those guys, but regardless, even the smaller time ones, no shot to those guys. They're really cool. And those are the ones, like when they come in time for the Rocket Mortgage, like, get hopefully some cool perks. So yeah, man, I love it. It's been awesome. And hopefully going to continue to keep it on the channel here in 2025.
Yeah, man. I want to give you props because I've been following and watching all this stuff happen. And from where we initially met, where you were getting started, to where you are now, to even from the time frame when you were last on the show with us to here, is absolutely incredible, the progress you've been making. And I'll let you know right now, I enjoy all the stories with all the guests that you have, especially the caddies, because it's one thing to have like a player on and talk about like a player's successes and trials and tribulations, versus a caddy is almost the complete reverse, and then double it, where like a player will go through all these trials and tribulations. When you're a caddy, you're hitching yourself to a wagon and you're hoping to struggle.
Yep.
Like there's even more pressure on you that, am I making the right career decision? And, am I hooking up with the right guy? Are we going to break through? Yeah. And in your whole career, like a player is going to be fine with like the money they make. Right. Caddy, if you're not bringing the results home, you don't have a home.
Yeah, and that's been cool about like getting some of the smaller time pros on, but they're getting some of their caddies and getting some of the insight of like, these guys like found the guy in the Nationwide or Corn Ferry Tour, right? And like you said, Ross hitched to a wagon, and getting some of those conversations, because the money's shit on the Corn Ferry, man. Like you don't make it as a caddy. Your goal is to the PGA Tour and to find that right guy, or to ultimately get enough experience, right, to get a referral for a PGA Tour bag. But yeah, man, the caddies have been super cool. One that I forgot to, I know you guys have given me a ton of time to plug my stuff already, but the one that I forgot to talk about, which is very near and dear to my heart, was we had Grayson Murray's caddy on, Jay Green. That was a really cool one, man. We told some really cool Grayson Murray stories.
I saw the watch story.
Yeah, that was an awesome story, man. That was really cool. And shedding light on Grayson's foundation. And actually, I ended up working this is so crazy, man. Because it worked out ironically enough. I had to push the video a couple days. Ended up working out. We posted it the same day that his foundation went live, and that wasn't planned. I had no idea. I texted his caddy that day. I said, "Hey, can you send me the link? I'm going to post a video today." He's like, "Yeah, we're launching today." So that was a really, really cool, man. If you guys can check out Grayson's Murray Foundation, it's a really cool foundation. And his caddy, ironically enough, knew my wife's uncle. It's just a really small, really just a random interview, but it was a really cool, man. Like I said, if you want to check out any of them, please check out that one. That was a really cool conversation we had with him.
Well, absolutely super thrilled for all the success you've had recently here, Scratch. And I know maybe those caddy type of interviews, they don't fit the YouTube algorithm well to pump out those types of views, but I know the real golf sickos like myself and the ones that are out there enjoy hearing those just so interesting stories, because there really is no other kind of role in sports like a caddy is. I mean, when you're interviewing a guy like that, you're basically getting, let's compare it to an NFL player's psychologist, basically his right-hand man. And you just get so many interesting and different types of stories and perspectives and cool moments and whatnot. So it's been cool to follow along with those. You mentioned the interview with Grayson Murray's caddy. I apologize for getting his name off.
Jay Green.
Jay Green.
Good,
man. Thank you. Really cool story about the Rolex and
that was
getting
awesome.
that win done at the Sony Open, which we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that, believe it or not. But super excited to see all the good content you got coming out, Scratch. And again, just a reminder to anyone who hasn't checked them out yet already, make sure to go and subscribe to the Scratch Golf Show on YouTube and give them a follow on X as well.
10 away from 400 subscribers,
oh,
man.
Baby.
I'm hoping to get there by the end of the week.
I'm also laughing if we check the chat. Mr. Marchese has a little note for Scratch. Welcome back.
I did see that.
What's up, Tony? That. I saw that. You should have seen what my nameplate said before we went live. I'm sure you would have much enjoyed that one.
He's a Packers fan, ironically.
We got everything. We got everything going on here at Golf
Caddy in the chat.
Yeah, we got some. We got Raul. I believe Raul has been in the comment section here before. I actually believe it was a betting show with me and Joey, and it honestly might have been the Arnold Palmer Invitational. But definitely wanted to give a shout out to Raul and some breaking news at Bay Hill about a removed water bunker in the front of the green. Definitely going to keep that in mind when the API rolls around in March, which is my favorite time of the year. Personally, got my birthday, March Madness, the Players, API, some great golf going on. Feels like that's when golf season starts to get its mojo back ahead of the Masters. So definitely looking forward to that. And thanks for the little tidbit, Raul. And getting back to some PGA Tour golf talk here, or I guess getting to it for the first time on today's show. Guess we should start with Scottie Scheffler, the boogeyman, continuing to win. Everything comes through with the win at the Hero World Challenge to go back-to-back there. An absolutely electric 69 under 63 on Sunday to win that bad boy by 6 shots. Also becomes the first player since Tiger Woods to win the PGA Tour Player of the Year for a 3rd consecutive season. We'll start with the Player of the Year award. Ross, even though there was some debate between me, you, and Tweeth Mitchell last week in terms of who should win the Player of the Year award, I don't think it's surprising to either of us that the players wound up voting for Scottie. But what I did think was surprising was the 91% vote total that Scottie ended up getting. Only 9% of the voters electing that Xander Schauffele had the better year than Scottie Scheffler. I thought that margin was going to be a little bit bigger considering it was 2 majors. And I don't know how many players actually have this in perspective, but I just thought it was really interesting to hear Tweeth break it down last week, saying he thinks both of those players would have swapped the season. Xander getting his first Masters and Scottie Scheffler adding 2 more majors to his resume. But Ross, what were your kind of thoughts on Scottie winning the Player of the Year once again and doing it by such a landslide margin?
So I think the biggest thing is, let's be completely honest. Even though I was on the Xander train, everything, Scottie still deserves Player of the Year. It could have gone either one, and I don't think you could make an argument either way saying that one or the other did not deserve it based on what they did. My main argument again for Xander was, if we go 20 years down the road, are we going to remember that Scottie won, several events and a gold medal? Or are we going to remember the year that Xander finally broke through and cleared out half the majors in a season? I thought the majors would hold a little more because obviously that's the end goal for most golfers in their career. The 91% kind of shocked me. I thought it would be a little bit closer overall. It kind of, that was probably the biggest shock in this. Like, I was expecting Scottie's going to get it just for the load of work overall. But I thought there would be a little bit more discrepancy there. I thought some people would make more people would make a bigger case for Xander, just for, again, he cleared out half the majors, took down half the schedule of the 4 things we really look forward to every year, right? And my final point is, after this week, I think we all could be in agreement that, Jesus, Scottie just needs to have some sort of a beard at all times. Good Lord.
He's the new big hairy American winning machine, dude.
No, that I can't handle. I love Scottie. I love Scottie and his timid personality, everything that he has. I think I'm going to go home, see my wife and my kid. I miss them a lot. Thanks for having me here. It's great to win. But I can't look at that baby face. I need the scruff. I need whatever. I need a bearded Scottie. That was probably the most disappointing thing, where Scottie just don't do that anymore. Like, if you have a straight razor in your house, get rid of it. We can go to stubble, can work with something like, Scratch and I both have going, but that the actual, that straight razor thing that can go out.
Yeah, see, I guess I'm not shocked that it was that big of a margin. I think if Xander had one more win outside of the 2 majors, I think if he would have got it done at the Players,
Or
I
Wells
think
Fargo.
or any of them.
Too.
Like, I think it took Xander Xander obviously was having such a good year from a statistical perspective earlier in the year, but he just couldn't get the win, right? He couldn't get it. He couldn't break through until he obviously won at Valhalla, and then again, at the Open Championship. But I think Scottie's just year-long resume, and I think obviously him taking down the gold medal, I think, helped, because I feel like if you combine, and I'd be curious your guys' perspective on this, but I feel like if you combine the Players and the gold medal, that almost feels like a major in itself, like between those 2 wins, or like even like a 3/4 of one, because the gold medal, obviously you saw how much it meant to Scottie. He started obviously crying on the podium, and I'm not going to, shame him for crying, but you see how much that a win like that means to him. And then obviously he took down Xander head to head, that 64 on Sunday at TPC Sawgrass to ultimately get that win over Xander. I think it just shows how good of a year Scottie had. I think it also shows how the Players, this award is voted on by the Players, right? Player of the year. Okay, I should know that, but like, it shows that the Players, like, how much they respect Scottie's year versus, like, because you understand like how much 2 majors means to anyone, right? Anyone would take 2 majors. It shows how good his year was outside of just, the win. Like, Xander's year is obviously defined by 2 majors, but it shows Scottie was just literally so good for the 365 days. I mean, it's been like 3 years now, it feels like. But so I'm not shocked that it's that separate, because you look at it's like, what, 8 or 9 wins versus 2. I think if Xander would have got one more win in one of those marquee events, I think it would have been a lot closer. I think you could have made more of an argument. But my pick was always Scottie, regardless of the hero or anything. I just think that many wins plus a major, and who, how he got it done, it was just too good. And his consistency, like, he never missed a cut. He rarely missed a cut, never finished outside the top 10. So yeah, I'm not shocked that it wasn't that close, honestly.
2 crazy Scottie Scheffler statistics after his win at the Hero World Challenge. Since February 1st, he has as many wins as the Washington Wizards. They both have 9. Scottie, we're about to enter 2025, fellas. Scottie Scheffler hasn't missed a cut since 2022. The PGA Championship 2022, where he was on, if you remember, he was on the ass side of the weather draw. He got completely weather wiped out. That was the last miscut he had. And of course, I do remember I had a bet on Scottie Scheffler that week.
Was that Southern Hills?
Yeah, it was Southern Hills.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, me too. Yeah, because I loved him that week because he had just won the Masters and he had said in a prior interview that Southern Hills is his favorite course. I'm like, I'm about to go throw like 10 units on this thing, and naturally
gets wiped out by the weather drop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that 90, like you said, Scratch, that 91% clip that he got, I think just goes to show again when you put in perspective how good Xander's year was with 2 majors. That's telling of just how spectacular Scottie Scheffler was. The consistency, never missing a cut, always being in the top 10, always being in the picture one way or another, and just the unbelievable Sundays that he had, I think was a real big thing too. I mean, the Sunday at the Players, the Sunday at the Olympics to win the gold medal there, chases everyone down. No one even really thought he was going to be in contention for the title when that Sunday began. And then, of course, another amazing Sunday to put a stamp on an unreal Augusta 2024 campaign. Augusta as well, but the Hero World Challenge this past week too. I know it's a little bit of a hit and giggle, but just to still see the dominance that he has against the top 20 guys that Tiger invites every year, it's remarkable.
There's that for sure, and I actually want our fans and everyone that watches to know, we joke all the time about Scottie being the boogeyman, and it's mainly because Jack and I every single week have money on another guy except Scottie, because we're hoping if it's just the week that someone can come and clip him. But there actually is something so cool and enthralling in we go into a Sunday and Scottie's 3 or 4 back on the board, sitting there, 6th or 7th. There is actually something so cool about being in Scottie's mind, he's got it.
Yeah, terrifying.
It's terrifying from a betting aspect and everything, but when you actually think of the body of work and the run we're seeing Scottie on, there is something so cool about that in his mind he knows it's still his, that I'm gonna go out there, I'm 3 or 4 back, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna go 8 under today. The leader is gonna shoot 1 or 2 under, but I'm gonna get him by 1. I'm gonna get him by 1. That's it. And there's something about how he doesn't break character, anything. He just locks in, goes man on a mission, and you watch. All right, he's in 6th, he's in 5th, he's in 4th, he's tied for the lead, and now Scottie's got the lead. Now he's 3 up, and he's in the clubhouse while they're 3 or 4 to play with a 3-shot lead, and you're just all right, it's over.
He wins tournaments. I feel like he does he wins tournaments in so many different ways. He does what Tiger does in the Memorial, for example. He just goes out, he gets a 2 or 3 shot lead, he's just never losing it. Or he's not afraid to come back and win. Like you said, on Sunday at the Players, chasing down the US Open champion. And then, Xander, obviously, from 6 back and shooting that 64. He wins in so many different ways. And he's just so fucking good. He is so fucking good. And I think part of me wants to, I don't want to make the Tiger comp because there will only be one Tiger Woods. But one thing that I think our generation didn't get, I didn't appreciate Tiger enough because I was so young when he was so dominant, right? I was born in 94. I think he has dominant run from 97 to 08 basically, which I didn't really appreciate golf until probably high school, which is right around then. I just want to appreciate Scottie for how good he is and just enjoy these runs and he might be our generation's, Tiger Woods. We very well could be looking at this 20 years. This dude just wins fucking everything. And, he may not get to 80. It may be 40, but whatever it is, I just want to enjoy it because he is so fucking good at golf. And it's just unreal. He doesn't have a weakness. So I just love watching him play golf, man. It's so cool.
I love what you said because me and Jack had this discussion before. And the way I comped it and compared it is you need to throw Tiger out, the 97-08 run. If you look at what Tiger did, statistically was impossible, right? And then the game of golf is so constantly adaptive and changing and consistently getting better, more competitive, moving along where it's more of an even playing field. The way you need to look at it right now for the run that Scottie is on is what Scottie is doing for how even the playing field is statistically is impossible. But Scottie is doing it, and that's why Scottie can be placed in the run and in a legacy name like Tiger, because we're not going to see this again. This shouldn't be happening, but Scottie's going and doing it. They're both in different eras. They both had their different eras, but as the game has changed and evened out and become an even playing field, what Scottie is doing should not be possible, but he is doing it, and that's why there is going to be this own era that 20 years down the road, we're going to go back and look. That was the Scottie era. There was a Tiger era. There was a Scottie era where that was the guy that shouldn't be doing this, but he's going out and fucking doing it.
I think in a year from now, next December, whenever we're talking golf, I think what he really needs to do, and I think you guys talked on it in your show last week with Tweet, was he needs to go knock off a couple majors that aren't at Augusta. I think he needs to go win a U.S. Open. He needs to go win a PGA, or he needs to go win an Open Championship this year. Because if we're ever going to compare him to Tiger, he's got to get to double digits. I think he's got to get at least 10, and I think it's only going to get harder. Obviously, I think I think regardless of injury, like we don't want to pencil in anything, right? But I think Scottie's could get to 5 green jackets. I think that is a real possibility considering he can play there forever. I think 4 is almost a certainty. I think 5 would be a good bet. I think he's got to go knock off a couple more majors. And like you said, Scottie, I don't know if he would take Xander's season because, he already has a Masters. But if we're ever going to consider him as good or as great as Tiger or even Phil, I think he's got to go knock off a couple more majors because that's really what the measuring stick is. All these wins are great, but like all the trolls or people who could say he's knocking off these wins, but when he's playing against the best players in the world, right? When the Livs, the Brysons, the Brooks, whoever you want to compare, he's not getting it done. He's only won, Masters, which are limited field, I don't want to say no cut events, but they are limited 80, 90 spots versus the US Open Championship, PGA that have the larger field. So I really think in 2025, he needs to get at least a major. Obviously a Masters helps, but it's got to be one of the other 3 in my opinion.
I agree. It's kind of like the situation with Rory at Augusta. It's like, cool, you're winning all these events, but no one really cares until you win these next big ones. You know what I mean? Like, Scottie winning the RBC Heritage and the Travelers Championship is sick, but now that you're at this level, doing that again next year, doing solely that isn't going to go and move the needle. Yeah, it's still going to put you in the level of greats that you're at right now, but to truly push that upper echelon, I'm in complete agreement. 2025, 2026, I think those 2 years combined, he's got to rattle off 2 of the other major championships to keep on track with where, we're talking about him being possibly.
I can't wait for pro golf to start, man. Obviously, we're in kind of a dead time right now.
Yeah.
But I've been focusing more on the content side. I didn't watch a ton of the fall, from the YouTube side, I've been focused on doing that. But I'm so excited for the majors this year, man. I think there's so many good storylines going into Augusta. You got Rory, you got Scottie's here, you got Brooks obviously hasn't played well. Bryson, you got Rahm. I mean, there's so many major storylines this year, man. I'm so excited for pro golf to fire back up. Woo. I think the majors this year are going to be some of the best. Obviously this isn't like a hot take, but I think the majors this year are going to deliver. I really, really do. And it's going to be curious to see who wins, man. There's only 4, right? And obviously, Scottie, I think, needs one. Rahm needs one. Rory needs a Masters, or even just needs a major in general. So I think we're in for a fun year, man. I can't wait for this the PGA Tour and Live to start back up here in a few weeks after the new year, man. It should be a fun season.
My hot take for 2025 is going to be Rory is either going to win a major in 2025 or Rory's never going to get a major again.
It's either happening this year or it's never happening.
I feel like you could have said. I feel like you said it like the last 4 years, though.
But I think last year after Pinehurst, everything that what occurred, I think that affected him so much that we are going to get the rebound of he's either going to go and get one and essentially be reborn and rebirth himself to his previous success and be like, I can fucking do this, and then go on a run and grab a few more, or he's going to come up short again and it's going to not even be in contention like the Pinehurst thing. And that's just going to be the demoralizing, well, it is what it is. I'll win a couple events every year on tour from here, but I'm never going to get that grander stage that I've been in the past.
I'm actually going to be cooking up a hot takes article here that I'm going to be dropping before the start of the 2025 regular season. So got a lot of hot takes coming here from the fellas at Golf on Tap. Little bit of PGA Tour news that I did want to get into. I know, like you said, Scratch, we're in a little bit of a dead spot. Most of the news circulating around any players here as of late has had to do with Tony Finau. As this time last week, Ross, when we were on the show, I mean, we were basically saying sayonara to Mr. Tony Finau based on the rumblings. Then comes out that he's having a knee procedure. That's why he withdrew from the Hero World Challenge, isn't in the field for the Century, says he's happy with the PGA Tour, plans on sticking around. But, you know, Ross, this isn't the first, second, or maybe even the third time we've heard Tony Finau's name mentioned around live rumors. So I'm curious, now that we are a week removed from our thoughts, you know, last week, what are you kind of feeling now about the Tony Finau situation?
Tony Finau knew it was coming down the pipeline. I think it was very real. I think Tony Finau was in discussion with Liv and everything. And I think the news that we got yesterday was officially relayed to Tony. And Tony was like, "Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna go through that if that's the case. If anything, I'm gonna be playing for you guys for a year, and then have to circle back and earn my way back to be where I am right now."
Well, Ross, not to bury the lead, but I know you wrote an article up on this topic today. For anyone who wants to go and check that out, be sure to go and head on over to ontapsportsnet.com. But Ross, go and talk about some of the updates that we got today from that Bloomberg bomb that you wrote up about the PGA Tour, Enterprises, and PIF.
So it looks like we finally have something, boys. Finally, after a little over 2 years of going back and forth of there's not really nothing to talk about, courtesy of Jay Monahan, every single time we saw him on camera, verbatim. There's really nothing to talk about right now. But we're talking. So a couple weeks ago, I made an assumption that the DP World Tour gave basically half the Live Tour back their cards. Out of nowhere, in immediate effect, like, you guys can play on it this year. And I initially leaned into, I think that PIF and Liv are going to take control of the DP World Tour. And I thought that's the route we were going to go. And then out of nowhere yesterday, we get the bombshell that PIF is going to buy in and get 6% of PGA Tour Enterprises. So not just the PGA Tour itself, but the all-encompassing company of PGA and its holdings, which includes like the Korn Ferry Tour, it includes DP World Tour, it's the PGA Tour, I believe it's also partially TGL. I think it's all in there. That they're buying 6%. That is basically a $12 billion investment. And the first thing I could think of that I wrote up in my article was, they're not going to poach anyone from here, because this is probably coming into effect in 2026 officially. They're not going to touch anyone for 2025. They're not going to go for a Finau anymore, which is where I think Finau backed out. I know there's a bunch of Adam Scott rumors. I think they turned all of that and said, "Hey guys, we're just going to stay put. We're going to go a different direction. Here's our different direction." And I think it's because now there isn't a true big investment in the PGA Tour. Essentially, by doing that, you're hurting your long-term product, because the way I'm looking at this is there is going to be a road back for the guys on Live. I think that's going to be concrete, set in stone.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be an easier road back for a lot of people. Hot take. I think people like Bryson, DJ, Phil, Waco, I think all those guys are getting their card right away. I think they are going to be gifted 2026. Here you go.
See,
welcome back. Welcome back. The other half of the field, people like John Catlin, things like that, I think they're going to be told this upcoming season, hey, go play as many DP World Tour events as you can. And if you earn your card through wins, things like that, much like the Matthew Pavone route from 2 years ago, we're not going to say anything. We're not going to block it. You're going to get some exemptions anyway. You're going to get into some fields. I think they're trying to find a way where half the guys are just going to get their card back. Maybe an under the table monetary fine. Hey, you got to donate to charity, whatever. I think the other half the guys are going to be told, hey, be encouraged to go play these DPA World Tour events, because come 2026, it's basically going to be a combined venture moving forward. I also think that Liv and PIF are still going to buy the DP World Tour. I think they're going to take control of that regardless. I think we are mainly focusing on them buying 6% of PGA Tour enterprises in general as stakeholders. I still think part of that deal is they are going to get control of the DP World Tour. That's going to be another announcement in the next couple of weeks, and it's basically going to open up a route for anyone that left, that went over. If you're not a select few that maybe voted on or whatever to get your card back and be able to participate right away, this is going to be your route that you can go play there for a year or two, earn your card back, and then you're not going to get flagged coming back.
I agree, Ross, 100% that this is, and I think you can look at some of the other signings from Liv. Like, there hasn't been any other like bombshells. Like, there hasn't been like any of these DP World Tour guys. There hasn't been any of these like Cameron Tringali-esque players, or whoever falls into that category, who have even been rumored to sign. I think a week ago, right, there was all these Liv bots or Liv people on Twitter saying, the world's falling, all these guys are going to Liv, and now all of a sudden here we are a week later, and there's been no movement. I think you can look at not only the Finau, because I do agree, I think that was very real at one point, but it's always been. I feel like Tony, we've had this conversation for 3 straight years now with Tony, but I think it just shows that like they knew the information. I think it shows the deal is coming, right? I think they're just like, we're going to stick around and we're just going to do our own thing and just see where the chips fall. And I think obviously they're maybe privy to a little bit more information than we are in the public, but I don't agree. And I think the world of golf, the pro world of golf is going to be so fucked if that happens, because man, you have these changes right at the top 100. Now you're getting all these guys back, and you're limiting the cards for the guys like whatever. Pick a guy from 100 to 50 who hasn't won, right? Or somebody on tour who's maybe not as big of a name as a Bryson or a Brooks, and you're just like, fuck that. Like, these guys took all this money. Now they're going to come get their cards back. Now you're going to cut guys like from 100 to 125, like a guy like a Wesley Bryan or a Zach Blair, whoever, who like is neat, would be a great PGA Tour player, but all these guys are like, what the hell? Now these guys are just going to come and get their cards back where it's already closed shop. I just think it's going to be a really interesting, shake up. Yeah, no, I do. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how things shake out. Hopefully, at the end of the day, we just want to see good golf. We want to see the best players in the world play good golf. So I think if that's the way it goes, that'll be really bad for a lot of people. I think you're going to see a lot of unhappy mules if that's the way of all these guys coming back, just getting their cards like, yep, that's it. So and I completely agree that I do think it is going to be a clusterfuck, but I think it's going to come down to looking on a week-to-week basis. If we're with the limited cards and everything that were just instituted, this was the first step into making the product more pure and making it the top golfers in the world. And basically, what it's going to come down to is it unfair to some of the up-and-coming players? Yes, absolutely going to be unfair and make people go back down to Korn Ferry and work to earn their stuff. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that this is $1 billion business. They're trying to build this. And when it comes down to Sunday, are you tuning in on your TV to watch Zach Blair, or are you tuning in to watch Bryson DeChambeau?
Yeah, best on best is always going to win that conversation.
No, I agree. I think it's, from my viewer perspective,
it's a clusterfuck.
No, it's a clusterfuck. I agree with you. I think it's best for the business, but I just think you're going to get a lot of unhappy. There will be an uprising if that happens. I assure you. Guys like Lucas Glover, guys like these guys like down the rabbit hole who have a voice, like they're gonna. I mean, that is going to be. It's going to be interesting to see what happens for sure.
Definitely. Speaking of best on best,
new announcement is if you finish dead last, you still make $500,000 courtesy of PIF. And then everyone goes, oh, never mind. I just got to make sure I make the cut.
Speaking of best on best, though, guys, last thing that we got to get to on today's show before kind of signing off here. Potential best on best that has been referenced by Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka as they talked with Matt Vincenzi, who I believe is with Sports Illustrated now at this point in time.
Fuck that guy.
And they mentioned that there is a possibility of a PGA Tour versus Live style Ryder Cup to maybe like introduce this marriage idea concept between the two sides coming together. Interested in that in any sort of way, fellas? Does that move the needle for you whatsoever?
Go ahead, Ross. I'll go second.
Honestly, it does. Because when I heard that, I'm not gonna lie. If we're doing a PGA straight up pick, year 10 versus Live, pick year 10, and we're gonna do a Ryder Cup style 3 days, 4 days, whatever. I went, holy fuck, and that one time in that one moment, I think Liv absolutely probably fucking smokes that field.
Think so?
I guess I'd have to look at it more. I am really excited. I think that'll be. I hope that replaces the President's Cup. I really do.
In a team style, everything. If you do the body of work and you look at who's over at Live and
will those guys give a fuck at all?
Yeah, I guess. Right.
I think
they're not playing for their country. They're just playing for fucking Live, which who even knows what it is? It's just a grab bag.
Right.
Yeah, but
they already don't care playing for the week-to-week events. They're not going to care representing the tour.
Also, what you need to consider is think the reverse end. How much shit eating have these guys taken over the past 3-4 years for going over there? Sell out. You took the bag and ran. I
understand that perspective.
Can you imagine the opportunity for them to come back and just a 1v1 team style tournament, just straight up against the PGA guys? You don't think Cam? You don't see
how it go.
You don't think Cam Smith, Wacko, all those guys
I don't think Cam
Smith like,
gives a fuck.
I'm gonna fucking bury him.
Yeah, I think
some of the other guys
boozing with his buddies.
Yeah. Cam Smith is my spirit animal, man. I think I'd be interesting. I think I'm more interested in like who the PGA Tour would pick, right? Are they just taking the top 12 off? I mean, obviously this is all hypothetical, right? But are they taking the top 12 off the FedEx Cup? Like, how does that work? Is there going to be a captain? Is there going to be captain's picks? Like, Are there going to be guys who are going to pass or just saying like, fuck this? Like, I'm not interested. And like, unless you're literally paying me to show up, right? There's the controversy recently of the Ryder Cup, right? You think these guys are going to do this shit for free? Like, no, they're going to get paid and they're going to want the bag because it's all about money, right? These guys are their own LLCs. So I'd be curious to see what the selection process looks like more than anything. I think it'd be fun for like a year or two, and I think the stink would wear off. Yeah, I think it would. I think it'd be fun for like a one-time thing. I am interested in the match. I haven't watched. We
were gonna get there. You just took it away from me, my man. You could basically be hosting this bad boy.
I am interested in that. No, man. I think it'll be cool. December 17th, right? That's what next weekend.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think having the best on the best. I think having some clown like Bryson on there and Brooks, who are apparently now buddy now, which is unfortunate, But I still don't think Brooks likes him. But regardless, that'll be fun, man. I think it'll be cool to watch that.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in it. Under the lights, I wonder like what the vibes are exactly going to be. I know Brooks is going to be throwing jabs because that's just how Brooks always is. But I'm curious like how Rory and Scottie are going to handle that situation. Like, will they play into it? Will they make it good television? Will they be throwing jabs, or are they going to be, is Scottie going to be typical Scottie, cordial with his dumb little laugh and not really saying anything but sticking shots close? I did think it was interesting. I actually saw Colton Ost and Drew Stoltz. They had Taylor Montgomery's dad on, Monty, who is actually the head pro, I believe, I think it's Shadow Creek, which is hosting the match next Tuesday night. And he was actually talking about One thing that I don't think people have considered is it's going to be at night in December in Las Vegas, aka it's going to be freezing ass cold, which I think is an interesting tidbit thrown in there. I don't know if the the fine details were kind of worked out. Were you? How was it?
Last weekend, it was cold as fuck, and it was like, I mean, it was 40 at night.
Shit, bro.
So it's gonna be cold, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be chilly out there, but I'm just interested to see the dynamic, mostly between the four guys' interactions. I know the golf will be good. I know there will be like probably funny people hosting it and in each other's ears and whatnot. But I'm just interested to see how those four interact with one another on the camera.
I really hope. Go ahead, Ross.
No, I was gonna say, based on how all this came about, I think we're going to see a different side of Rory and Scottie than we're used to, especially because if we go back on the previous reports, it was like Jay Monahan and the PGA were like, absolutely not. We don't want to do this. And
oh no, we're going to make Scottie look bad. Oh my God. We're going to ruin his reputation. Oh my God.
And then it just comes out that like Rory and Scottie were like, oh, fuck yeah, I'll do that. That sounds awesome. Oh, hey, Jay, fuck you. No, we're doing that. That sounds fun.
That was the best part of that report was like, no, we're doing this, all right? You know, you fucked up enough, Mr. Jay Monahan.
This isn't a PGA Tour sanctioned. It doesn't need to be PGA Tour sanctioned. It's in our off season. Blah blah blah. You can't touch us. We're gonna go fucking do this. This sounds fun.
So
I think the best part is that it was Scottie and Rory, like the people that typically would be a little bit more conservative and not go and speak out and, you know, kind of keep themselves. They were the main two that are just like, oh, fuck yeah, I'll do that. That's all right.
Love it. I love it. Well, final question for you guys. Who comes away with the dub next Tuesday? It's going to be the newfound buddies, Bryson and Brooks, which I do agree, Scratch. The golf community is better when those two are hating on one another, but of course, not going to be happening with them both playing for LIV at the same point in time. You think it's going to be those two, or you think it's going to be Scottie and Rory coming to play?
I think Scottie and Rory, man. I think you just saw how well Scottie's playing. I think Scottie's going to be in the not give a fuck attitude. I don't want to say the putts aren't going to mean as much. You know, obviously that's always been his shaky thing, which we didn't even talk about how he went to the claw. I think, you know, I think he'll be obviously in the less give a fuck mode, but I think Scottie's just better than all of them, man. So I'm going to take the best player in the world, and I'm not going to think about it. You know, just
I should probably go with that strategy more in my betting.
Yeah, right.
I honestly believe the fact that the two of them don't give a fuck. They're going there strictly to have fun. I think you are going to get Scottie and Rory. Rory hits it to 3 feet. And Scottie laughs and giggles, and Scottie hits it to 2, and I think you're going to get that, and I think it's going to be Scottie and Rory finally with the freedom of the PGA Tour pressure, everything off their back, just out there having fun, and I think they absolutely fucking dominate. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be entertaining. It'll be fun. But I think you're going to see a different side of Scottie and Rory with the pressure actually off, the two of them playing together, having fun and giggling. And that it's going to be like playing. It's going to be like out there playing with your buddies. Yeah. That's the best golf you can play. And it's going to be something stupid like that where Rory hits it to 3 feet, Scottie hits it to 2, and they turn and they fucking laugh and giggle at each other. Like,
I just want to watch like more, obviously the golf, but the chirps are going to be great, dude. Like if these guys are going to go, like I can't wait to see how much Bryson gets chirped for like YouTube, like his YouTube content. Like, hey, sick hole in 1 or hole in 1 in 34 or whatever. Like I can't wait. And hopefully we get some unedited like bleeps or something, whatever. But like the chirps are going to be A+, dude.
I'm going to call it now. We're going to throw a live line out there. I'm going to go 3 to 1 odds. If Rory has like a 2-foot putt, does Bryson say, it's fine, you got this?
Oh, I didn't even think about that, man.
I didn't even think about that, dude.
Oh, man, it's going to be spicy. I am excited for this one. I am in agreement with you guys, though. I believe Scottie and Rory are going to come away with this bad boy. I think Bryson's going to be locked in, ready to go. We know he's been playing break 50, as you referenced, Scratch, the over-the-house hole-in-one challenge.
Yeah.
This is the time of year where I don't think Brooks Koepka is playing very much golf. I don't think Brooks Koepka very much cares to be playing very much golf at this point in time. So I'm going to go with Scottie, who's coming off of a week playing phenomenal golf once again. I'm going to take that side. But yeah, I am interested to see how it's going to go. Just like you, Scratch, more so interested to see kind of the dynamic and the chirps that are going back and forth.
Yeah.
But should be interesting. The first time I've been really interested in the match, first time in a long while. So
it's like the second one.
Yeah, right. Real. It's been a minute. So they needed to spice that up. Hopefully this will give it a little bit of a kickstart. Anything we forgot to get to here, boys, on today's episode? I think that's all I had written down.
I will share that when Bryson was doing the over the house hole-in-one, as a joke, I went in my front yard and I laid out a mat and started to drop balls. And before I could even turn the camera on to get a reaction, Emily walked out the front door and was like, fuck no, absolutely not.
Like that St. Andre, the St. Andre. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yes.
Those guys are hilarious.
Just that absolutely not. Don't eat. And I was like, well, there was going to be a joke video that I was going to like post to the channel. And she's like, I don't fucking care. No.
There's no playing around.
Bryson did it.
No horseplay at the house. Well, Scratch, thank you again for taking the time to join us here tonight, man. Fun as always, and I'm sure we'll have you back on the pod sooner rather than later. Again, to everyone out there, go and check out the Scratch Golf Show on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Some excellent interviews, cool insight, fun stories, what's not to love. If you're a golf sicko, tuning into this, you're probably going to love it as well. So, Scratch, thank you again, my friend.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate it so much, man. This was awesome. Obviously, I know Ross has been trying to get this on for a while. I know I've been crazy busy traveling the last month. Yeah, man, thank you guys so much for having me. It's always fun talking golf. Like I said, I'm excited to get back on the pro golf scene. It's just been kind of a dead period for me personally. Just I don't care much about the fall series, but excited to get Hawaii, excited to do all that. And yeah, man, we'll have to do another show sometime next year, whether we do like a major preview or something, man. Always open to come on. If you guys are watching, like Jack said, if you guys could please go subscribe to my YouTube, that would mean the world to me. Other than that, man, thank you guys for having me. Have a good Christmas to everyone watching. I appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone tuning in, definitely go and follow Golf on Tap as well, wherever you may listen to your podcast. That way you can join us, even if you're not able to catch up with the show live. We got the 2025 season right around the corner. Scratch, I'm sure we'll
download
have
the goddamn podcast. For the love of God, people, please.
Download the pod. Help a brother out. Scratch, we'll have something big planned for the 2025 campaign. As you said, I think the majors are going to be epic this year. So thanks again, Scratch. Thanks again to everyone tuned in. We'll catch you next time on Golf on Tap.